kind of hard to believe that Carolyn and I lived in this truck, just tiny little truck, for what, almost 2 years. It's pretty incredible. We built that truck here for. I'm kind of off subject. The reason I sitting here is I don't really have a bench to sit on, or a table or anything where I can discuss things with you. So I thought to sit here. And a while back I told you that I wanted to buy some more Berky filters. Now I already have a backup set. I've had these for 6 years. They've been sitting on a shelf, and they cost 150 bucks when I bought them. So we had the set inside the Berky, and then we have this set. And my plan is always, if something happens to the filters, that in the Berky I could just put these in and then order another set, and I wouldn't be any stress. You just having a backup set. Or if times got tough and I couldn't afford it, or whatever, I still have a backup set. This would get me another 6 years is what I was thinking. Well, 6 years had passed, and the water was starting to get a little bit off colored with the old Berky filters. Off tasting, it was just a little bit off taste, I guess, off colored. It wasn't, what it was is, well, I don't want to get into it. It's just, they were old, and it was really getting slow. I was cleaning them and doing the best I could to keep up with them, but for the last 6 months, it was pretty hopeless. So we decided we was going to replace them. So I started to set this set inside the Berky, and I got online, and the place I always bought the filters from are no longer selling the filters. No, the place I was buying them from went out of business. So I Googled around, and I found some, but they weren't selling the filters. They were just selling the entire Berky system, the tanks, everything. Well, I don't need the tanks. So got on Amazon, and Berky filters were available. And I think $300. I don't know, it was almost $400 or what, but they were just way too expensive for me. I guess it was $300. They more than doubled in price since 6 years ago, and I just could not see spending $300 on Berky filters. Don't get me wrong, I have been nothing but an absolute fan of Berky, even when they're going through their media problems and social media problems, and everybody's hating them. I stuck with them through and through, but the price, I just couldn't keep up with them. Now, I do know that Berky's having a lot of legal troubles. They were classified as a pesticide because they use silver inside it to kill growth. I don't know. Anyway, and silver was being classified as pesticide, so they went and got sued, and the last administration sued them. I don't remember all the things, but it was a problem. And they really were taking a lot of heat on social media because their claims to fame, Berky's claims to fame, apparently wasn't as true as what they were saying. I don't know. I've always been happy with them. That's all I can say. I knew I was abusing my filters when we were traveling in this truck, so I decided it doesn't matter to me. When we got here, the filters lasted 6 years. Like I said, maybe 5.5, but we drink a lot of water. I mean, we don't drink anything but coffee and water. That's it. So I was just overly joyed. I've never gotten sick from them. The only time I ever got sick when I depended on Berky was down in Texas. We were at this campground, had free water, and there was something wrong with the water. My guess is it was some sort of petroleum product. There were drills, well drills, or oil drills, oil wells, whatever you want to call them, just a couple hundred yards away. So I'm wondering if that had gotten into the water supply somehow or another. Anyway, when you drank the water without filtration, you couldn't drink it. You'd have to spit it out. With the Berky, I guess I just didn't notice, but there was a little bit of a taste of that petroleum. Anyway, I noticed I was getting sick, so we didn't go to that campground anymore. We changed out the filters when that happened. And then when we got here, we bought new filters, and they've lasted ever since we've been here. So I've been really happy with them until we got the price. So like I said, we have this backup set, and as soon as I wanted to replace them, I looked to buy another set, and I was going to put these in, and I realized, uh-oh, they're just too expensive. So we started looking around, and they had a set called Water Drop. And I did my best research I could do under short notice, and it appeared that Water Drop was a good filter, and they were $46. So we bought them to test them. We figured 46 bucks, that's worth trying. What we gotta lose? Now, Water Drop said they didn't claim that it would remove bacteria. But then I learned that Berky had removed its claim that it could remove bacteria also, which I didn't know until we started doing this research. So anyway, we bought them, put them in there, and I'm telling you, they were great. The water tasted fantastic. Now, of course, like I said, we were comparing it to Berky filters that were 6 years old, so but it was better tasting than that 6-year-old Berky filter. And it ran really fast, faster than any Berky filter that I ever used. I mean, really fast. Now, a lot of people in the reviews said that that was bad. I don't know if it's bad. I really can't say. Now, the first time I ever bought a Berky, we did tried to do some research. This was my ex-wife and me. We tried to do some research, and the only really video there was is some guy went out to his pond, got some water, put it through his Berky, and had his children drink it, and so that's why I bought it. But there wasn't a lot of information. Now everybody has a video on Berky. Well, same thing with Water Drop. There's not a lot of information out there saying that they do well. There's a couple videos, which gives me some confidence, just like it did with Berky, that I think is a pretty good filter. From what I can understand, now somebody may say I'm wrong, and that's fine. I really don't know. But from what I can find, it does 6,000 gallons, for 2 filters, just like the Berky does. And it appears it filters out just as much as Berky. It appears so. Again, speculation, but that's just what I'm gathering from these YouTubers who have tested it, sent it out to test facilities. So, even though there's more videos out there than there was when the first time I bought Berky, you're still questioning things. So it has been almost 2 months now since we've bought the filters, and I have no complaints. It's still running really fast. You figure we do about 6 gallons of water a week, so we're about 8 weeks now. So 6 times 8 was that 48. So 48 gallons. Let's call 48 to 60 gallons, something like that. Of course, it's been pretty hot, so we may have been doing more than 6 gallons. Regardless, I feel like we've got a fairly good test going now, and I've not seen it slow down. It's not need cleaned. It seems to be doing just fine. The water still tastes clear, so I'm pretty happy with them. So we decided that we'd buy another set to have as a backup. Now, the downside to that is the first one that we bought, I think, was $48. The second set went up to $79. So I guess I got the first set on sale, is the only thing I can think. So this is the Water Drop filter. I got 2 of them here. So when we put them side by side with the Berky, I mean, they're basically the same. There is a slight difference on the top. But the top on the Berky is filtration. This is just a plastic lid. I don't know why, doesn't matter. But everything else is identical. And supposedly you can clean these like a Berky. So pretty much the same. The downside is it did go up in price. Again, I was paying $150 for Berky filters 6 years ago. And here we're paying $79 for these Water Drop filters. It's not as cheap as the $49, and it was kind of a sticker shock when I went back to buy the second set a month later. But in the end, it's still cheaper than Berky was 6 years ago. So I'm not recommending them. I'm only putting this out as an alternative that I'm happy with them. I'm not big on telling people what to buy. And I remember when I first told everybody I was getting, we changed to over water drop. Oh, how dare you! You've recommended Berky your entire time on YouTube, and now all of a sudden you've changed your tune, and now you're doing something else. I don't know if I've ever recommended Berky. I try not to recommend things on my channel. I try to tell you this is what I'm doing. If you like it, great. If you don't, try something else. And well, the same with this. I'm not telling you that you should use it. And I don't feel like I'm betraying Berky. I mean, a lot of people say I was betraying Berky. You know, you've been a big supporter. I would have advertised Berky on my channel. Berky contacted me one time, wanted me to advertise, but they also wanted me to have a website. Of course, back then we were traveling, and I just couldn't see maintaining a YouTube channel and traveling, a Facebook page, and all the things that you had to do. So, I mean, we declined only because I didn't want to do a web page. But I would advertise, and I still would. The only problem I have is I don't think, well, two things. I don't think they're worth $300. I mean, that you can go get bottled water for a lot less. So, you know, with water drop, I mean, you're killing the cost of bottled water, just killing it. But with Berky, I mean, I just don't see that being a good idea. Granted, bottled water, once you've gotten used to drinking filtered, you know, this kind of filtered water, bottled water tastes terrible. But I would advertise if they could bring the prices back down. The other thing I worry about with Berky is they've gotten such backlash in the media and social media and the government and lawsuits. I don't know if they're going to survive. So that would be my other thing that I would worry about. With, you know, this aftermarket, you know, water drop, you know, they're new to the industry. I don't know where they're from. I mean, I don't know who produced them, and there's not a lot of information on it. The tag here says new, let's see, made in South Korea. So I don't know if it's a South Korea company or if it's just made in South Korea. I don't know. But in the end, I just can't afford to buy Berky. The one thing I want to mention, though, with the bacteria, I've been putting chlorine. See, we used to put chlorine in the tank, the IBC tank, and I used the FDA's recommendation or whoever's recommendation, EPA, I don't know, and so I put bleach in it. The problem is I would sneeze terribly bad, and my nose would be all stopped up every time I took a shower. And so I Googled, why am I sneezing after a shower? And it said, chlorine is in your water. So I stopped putting chlorine in it. But that meant I had to make sure that the filters were filtering out the bacteria, because now, you know, it's just straight water. And you never know what's growing in that IBC tank. So since it says don't trust it with bacteria, although I want to say that the YouTube videos I have been watching says that it is filtering out bacteria. They're not saying it can, but the YouTube filter people, or YouTube guys, are out there testing it. Says there's no bacteria in it. So that gives you a little confidence. But so what I've been doing is, for 3 gallons of water, we've been putting in around 20 eye droplets of water in the 3 gallons. Based on what I can find on YouTube. Usually I don't tell people how much chlorine to put in it, but in this case, since we're not drinking the chlorine, because the water drop filters is removing the chlorine, I mean, even if you put too much in it, it wouldn't hurt you because the filters are taking it out. So, but yeah, 18 to 20 drops, something like that. And we have 4 2-liter bottles, I forget what it is. So anyway, we've been filling those up with water, you know, putting drops. I think we put 6 drops per bottle in it. Is it 4? Well, it's actually like 3.5. So anyway, 6 drops per 2 liters. So, and that seems to be doing fine. It says you're supposed to be able to smell the chlorine, and I barely smell the chlorine. We could use a little bit more in there, I would think, but I think we're doing fine. But that's how we're getting around the bacteria. Now, viruses. If you're out there on streams, Berky will even say there's some viruses, even back then, that it may not filter out. So even back then when we were taking water out of streams, we were putting chlorine in the water and then filtering it. And you're supposed to let that chlorine sit in the water for like 15 minutes. Another option is you could boil the water. Of course, that takes a lot of resources. So boil the water to let it cool off. Don't put hot water in the Berky or even in the water drop. And that, you boil it for a few minutes and then dump it into, let it cool off, dump it in the Berky. But bacteria is easy to kill. It's just hard to get the stuff out once it's dead. And that all tastes bad. So if you'll click this up next box, it'll take you to a video over my other channel. Really appreciate it if you go check it out. So hope I can inspire you to do your research, sing, live your dreams. Thanks for watching.